Hi, I'm Steve. You're watching Gear Stuff and Things, and today on the channel I am going to get into recreating the sounds from the Deftones White Pony record using the Line6 Podgo. So stick around and we'll get into it. Alright, so we are in Podgo Edit, and I'm going to be going over a patch I made to recreate the one of the arguably best Deftones record, which is White Pony. And I've created 3 patches that kind of sum up the guitar tones on that record. And using an SG tuned to drop C as the Deftones tuned on that record, and Chino often used an SG when playing live with them. So seems fitting. I also don't own a Stephen Carpenter guitar as much as I would like to. I would love to try one though. So if anyone's listening out there that has one and wants to share, I'm your guy. But moving on, so I wanted to recreate the tones that I heard on that record as best I could. So to kind of sum it up, there's a clean tone, which is kind of a lo-fi clean that you hear at the beginning of Change in the House of Flies. Kind of whole song is built around that. There's a traditional distorted tone that's Stefan's kind of thing, the mid-rangey Marshall distorted tone, and then there's a lo-fi kind of tinny sounding tone that is used at the intro of a few songs, and including the opening track of the record. So I recreated those 3 tones the best I could within Podgo, and I just want to go over that. So let's have a look at it. So our first patch is the clean patch, of course. And to create that, we'll just start at the amp and make our way backwards. So the amp is a Brit 2204, which is essentially a JCM 800. I am running it kind of as you see here. Now I have some snapshots in place, which we'll go over here shortly, but running the drive at 4.3, bass at 3.2, mids at 7.5. I have the treble running about 7.2 on this one. Presence is at 5.1. The channel volume 7.9. Master volume 6.2. Sag is almost off at 1 o'clock, or 1.0, however you want to say it. Hum is increased to 5.0. Ripple is at 3.7. The bias is dropped pretty significantly, almost off. It just sounds good with this amp to me. And bias X is at default position. Now, in order to get the volume to drop and to get some of the lo-fi characteristics of the clean tone on Change in the House of Flies or any of the clean stuff you hear on White Pony or this era of Deftones, I am taking a Minotaur. Now, I'm not saying that they use this at all, but what I did do is use it without the gain. I increased the tone to where it's a little more chimey, and then I used the level of the pedal itself as a form of gain staging, so I'm dropping the volume down, and the gain on the amp is dropped a bit, and there's no additional gain, there's just volume, but I'm actually sucking some volume out. So I'm adding a little bit of color going in by using the Minotaur, even though the gain's not engaged. There's still some stuff happening, a little bit of weird magic taking place there into the amp. And then lastly, we have, or not lastly, I got a couple other things, but lastly in the chain, I have a room reverb set to about 38%. I want this one to kind of be atmospheric and roomy because that's how Change in the House of Flies sounds. And I have a light 70s chorus set up, and the mix of this chorus changes depending on the preset I'm using here or the snapshot. So let's hear what I've got here for the clean tone for the White Pony era Deftones sound. And I'm going to mute my microphone so you get none of this pesky string noise. And yeah, let's check it out. So if you ask me, that's pretty close to the actual sound that's on the record. And not exact, but close enough, and especially if you were in a situation where you were covering this song, this would get you right in the territory you need to be. So moving on to our distorted channel, this is all one amp, and I'm using snapshots in order to have these different tones within one amp, thus creating channels and variables. So moving from that to our dirty sound, you'll see that the mix on the chorus drops down a bit. I still have it on there, and maybe it's just me, but I definitely hear sometimes there's a bit of a chorusy effect on some of the earlier era Deftones stuff with the distortion. I may be wrong, and it may just be how it was processed. It may have been the JMP preamp he was using. Something that's happening there in whatever presets, to my ears, sound like there may be a tiny bit of chorusing on it. If I'm wrong, but it does sound pretty okay here in my ability, my efforts to recreate it. I am using the Scream 808 to boost things and kind of get more mid-range punch as a tube screamer typically would. And as you can see, the gain has increased significantly to 7.0. The bass has dropped to 1.3. Mids have not changed. Treble has increased to 8.3 from being 7.5 previously. Presence has increased tremendously. I think it was at 5. So now it's at 7.6. Channel volume has increased. The master volume has dropped. From there, everything is the same as the previous preset. I have dropped the mix of the reverb down pretty significant. Yeah, so this is our dirty tone. And again, I'm going to mute the mic so you don't get any of the pesky string noise and you just get the tone. So I think we're pretty close to the territory of the distortion on that record. And lastly, I have a lo-fi version of that same distortion that is kind of thin and tinny sounding, which you hear at the intro to the first song on the record, as well as the verses of the first song on the record, which doesn't really have verses and chorus. It's just the same riff over and over again for the most part. But let's check that out. In Podgo Edit, let's see what changes I've made. Reverb has been pretty much the same. All the dirty stuff's pretty much the same. I've dropped down the gain a little bit. I've increased the low a bit again. I'm still using the tube screamer. The chorus is at 14%, so slightly increased. And we are using EQ, and the EQ is doing pretty much all the heavy lifting here as far as the tone crafting or carving to be lo-fi. So I'm sucking a lot of stuff out here, removing the 31, removing all of the 32. I'm cutting out a lot of 125. You can see that I've got some pretty hefty scoops happening here. I will mute the mic, so none of the pesky string noise. I know you guys hate that. And then we'll come back and we'll talk about it.
If you like gear, stuff, and things, and you're enjoying the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell notification so that YouTube lets you know every time a new video goes up. And of course, if you like the video, smash that like button.
So that's our lo-fi tinny sound. I'm not playing everything exact to the record. I'm sure that it will get flagged because I played anything close enough to the record, because that's just how the algorithm gods work. But yeah, if you hear me playing something that's slightly off of the record, that's, on purpose. I don't want the video to get flagged for copyright, but if the Deftones or whoever they're signed to right now want to do that, okay. So those are the 3 tones. Hopefully those are cool to you. Hopefully they fall in line with what you would expect from creating a tone to recreate some sounds on this record. So you can look at what I've done here if you want to slow it down or take screenshots or whatever to recreate this on your own. Or you can just grab it from my New Tones preset pack, which is on GearStuffandThings.com. It's a collection of tones designed to recreate the sounds of nu metal era heroes, essentially. So there's a Korn one, System of a Down, Kitty, Deftones, Limp Bizkit, Slipknot, Machine Head, Burning Red era stuff, Rage Against the Machine, all in one preset pack. Hopefully you enjoyed this. If there's something you would like to see as far as me recreating tones of certain bands that are not in that list, or is there something you'd like to hear recreated on the Podgo specifically, I will do my best to do that for you. But until next time, it's been me, it's been you, it's Gear Stuff and Things. With that being said, that is the video. And as always, music is available. All the download links are in the description. And I hope that you all are having a great time. And I'll be back with some more videos this week.